All right, welcome back to part two. Got Jimbo on again. So now we're going to talk about the war. I'm already uploading the other one. It's already uploaded so people can watch that while they're waiting on us to finish this one. So, Jimbo, take it away, my man.
Take what away? I didn't really think we are going to have a big war with Iran. I thought it would be disastrous. Um, I'll share some of my thoughts, and I don't mind being wrong. I just think since I'm wrong, they made a big mistake. I mean, okay, since I'm wrong, I have to think about what happened. What did I not calculate correctly? Um, I'm going to say this, and it's a very delicate point, but I think there's a leash around Donald's neck,
Mm.
and it is held by 4 or 5 big billionaire campaign donors. And they're not MAGA types.
Mm-mm.
They're, let's just say, they don't eat pork. Okay. Okay. He's got some controllers,
Yep.
and Teal is one of them. And this is very delicate, and I'd rather not say any more about the Donald leash, but I'm pretty sure that there are four motives with this Iran conflict. It's hard to call it a war. It's a regional conflict that could become much wider. Um, Here are some of the other angles to this. And, people have short memories. I have a very long memory. I was told when I when I went in 1987, I went into drug rehab. they, they said, Jim, you've got a really patient, cold vengeance streak. And I said, I know, I'll wait 2 years to get my cold vengeance. But you know, that's the old me. That's the 1980s me. And I'm older and wiser and more mature now. But I remember. What do I remember? Donald Trump in his first administration, I think he was like 6 months into office, and he said the Iran nuclear deal is one of the scummiest deals he's ever seen the details for. Those are his words, one of the scummiest deals. And I looked into it and thought, okay, what's he referring to? And he said there's narcotics involved. There's 5 billion in cash, an entire plane load with pallets of. Uh, I mean, if it's 5 billion and it's filling up a plane, it's got to be $20 bills. It can't be $100 bills. I mean, really, 10,000 $100 bills, and you got a million. You got a million. Um, so 10 million $100 bills, you got a billion. So 50 million $100 bills, and you got 5 billion. Okay, maybe that's a plane load. I don't know. I haven't really seen a calculation of a pallet of $100 bills. I don't know how much that's worth, but I will say this: that the drug cartels, they don't have counting much anymore. They use scales. They say, how many kilograms of $100 bills do you have in your shrink wrap? Because the plastic in the shrink wrap is negligible in the weight. So they go by tonnage of $100 bill. Okay, just a funny little aside. Um, so what was so scummy, Donald? Okay, they made a nuclear deal, and apparently, a lot of the consensus was Iran is going to be permitted to do nuclear refinement because they've got nuclear plants to generate electricity and blah, 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 blah. Okay, but they're giving him 5 billion in cash, and there's some narcotics in the equation. Was it actual narcotics, or was it payment for past narcotics? We don't know anything because we're just plebeians. We're just, what do they call us? Useful idiots.
Right.
And what I like to do is flip that around and say, well, now BlackRock and JP Morgan and Bank of New York Mellon, they're going to be useful giants because they're going to lift the value of XRP and other coins. I mean, 100-fold. Why? Because it'll be profitable for them, because they're going to make money in the hundreds of billions and we're going to make money in the millions. So we'll both be happy, but there aren't very many of us. Okay, get back to the Iran deal. I mean, some people call it the JC something PA bill. Ah, gosh, I just call it the Iran nuclear bill. What I'm learning, Scott, is that the parts regarding nuclear were minor in the deal. It was more a deal about narcotics and, let's just say, burying deep underground some Epstein files. I know, it sounds really weird, but when it comes to really important files, data files, there's not one copy, there's not two copies, there's not three copies, there's 6 or 7 copies. So the question is, where are the files? Well, I think that they're in Switzerland. I think Langley has a bunch. I think Iran has a bunch. And I think some are maybe even in Greenland for all that matter. Now, why does this matter? Because it could be that the Iranians were using them for blackmail. Okay, we don't know. Okay, there's a lot. There are like 4 sides to this Iranian conflict. And I think most intelligent people will get their hands and their heads wrapped around 2 of the 4 parts. Does Donald want a higher oil price? Let me throw that back to you, Scott.
You know, he said yes, and it would put more pressure on Russia and all this other stuff. But Russia makes their own oil, so
That benefits Russia. What? That
yeah,
wouldn't harm Russia.
right.
Oh, a favor to Russia.
Yeah, kind of.
We'll do this, we'll do that, and we'll lift the oil price for your benefit, and you'll be able to finance your Ukraine war better. Okay, that's good. Good.
But the thing about gas got around to almost like 225 around here, roughly, 240, something like that. Now it's over $3, and people are just squealing because, the price of gas, it's going to raise the price of everything because everything's done by trucking now. We're only 3 days away from a food supply if all the trucking was to shut down. So it's it, when Trump came in on this first time, gas got down to where it was almost like $2 a gallon there, and it was super cheap. Oh, gas is going to go down cheaper after the war. Well, now you got everything just closing up. People are pissed off everywhere. I'm having a hard time even defending anything that he's doing right now because he's being so controlled. Then he's even bragging about, well, I think I forced Israel into this war now. It's like, well, okay, what's all that about? We're not. What really pissed me off though a lot is he said he was going to audit the Fort Knox. That never happened. All the Doge cuts came in. When he first came in the office, he was talking all this big shit was going to happen. Audit Fort Knox. Doge was going to cut all this fraud, waste, and abuse. The Republicans shut down the whole Doge thing now. We're all talking about we're going to get all these big checks coming back because of all this. What about all this tariff money that says it's coming into the country? Well, who's seeing that money? Where's that money going? Is it going to fund all these other wars and stuff? Now they're talking about, oh, we don't have enough ammunition to do some of this stuff. He's begging all these ammunition plants to start creating more ammunition now because there's on the verge of running out. So what the hell is he really doing? I mean, is
Okay.
this America first? I don't think so.
No, he's focused on geopolitical matters, Greenland, Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
the Somalis. Okay, you mentioned a number of critical things. He's made good progress in exposing USAID fraud. He's made good progress in exposing fraud with audits. He's made progress with Somalis in Minnesota.
But
Uh,
where are these? Why aren't these people going to jail? He just came out the other day and said, "Oh, I can't find a statute to be able to hold the potato. I call Biden the potato account for the auto pen." And I'm thinking, like, are you kidding me? We can file criminal complaints on public officials. We do it on judges, attorneys, cops, anybody, mainly judges.
he's
But
he's
he's not holding these
punting.
people accountable.
I know he's punting. He's made progress with ICE and exposing the sanctuary cities and states. He's made no progress with Fort Knox. Okay, I have a big beef with tariffs, and I've mentioned it before, and I don't want to get locked into this, but let me just say that tariffs can be effective if it results in commitments and actual breaking ground and creating plant and equipment and jobs and the downstream industries from the tariffs with foreign direct investment. Let me point out one particular example because there was a giant screw up. SoftBank pledged $100 billion for data centers, electric plants, and robotics industry. And then they pledged another 100 billion the following week or so. And then 4 months later, Donald Trump slaps a uniform 10% tariff against Japan. And SoftBank said, we're stopping. We're not doing anything. Okay, that's an example of using tariff as a weapon. I call it a club, bludgeon, and not a carrot. Yeah, I like the tariffs to be used as a carrot. Okay, we induce the Germans. We say, look, we're going to slap a tariff on on all of your output, like for BMWs and Porsches and Mercedes and Volkswagens. But if you build some plants in the United States and start hiring in the Midwest, where the NAFTA lost a lot of different jobs to Mexico, if you replace that, well, we'll reduce the tariff from 10 to 5%. Okay, that's the carrot. Trump has lost the ability to use tariffs as a carrot. Okay, he's talking now about having a refund, a rebate to the citizens, a redistribution of the tariff income. That doesn't work. We need them to break ground. We need Apple to follow through in their Wisconsin plant. We need SoftBank to build electric plants. We don't even care about whether they're fueled by oil or coal or natural gas. I prefer natural gas for the turbines. Let's get going. We're way behind. We're like 15th in rank for new generating plants for electricity. We're acting like a third world nation. Okay, Trump is not doing economic development. He's doing geopolitical development and realignment. Okay, we need to use the tariffs as a carrot for foreign direct investment, for breaking ground, for making plant and equipment, for hiring the industry, getting the supply chain involved, doing training for workers. Okay, we don't have adequate workers. Okay, fine. There was a big controversy 8 months ago about importing Indians from India.
H-1B visas. That guy, boy, what Trump is doing right now is he is pissing off the base to no. He has no idea because the people that are advising him are all a bunch of just jackasses. They live in a bubble.
I'm a golden jackass. You got to be careful with that.
Okay.
Morons.
Yeah, morons. All right. So they're dipshits. They're professional dipshits. Them son of a bitches, they live in a fucking bubble and they are sitting there advising him, say, oh, and Trump's like, I'm more MAGA than anybody. Well, Trump, have you looked out the window lately? Because of the base, the amount of illegals, it's estimated 30 million illegals came in under the potato. You would have to deport 10 million people a year for the next 3 years just to get back to where we used to be. You don't see none of that shit happening. So that's what I'm saying. He is ultimately pissing off the base, and you don't have to worry about the left because they automatically hate him. Mainstream media is going to demonize him every fucking chance they get. And so we're the ones that supported his ass over the last 10 years, and now he's pissing us off. And I'm just basically giving him the double barrel finger at this point. And it's like, dude, you're losing me. And if you lose me, That means you're losing a whole shitload of other people too.
Okay, all right. Let me get to Iran and this war because there's some important points that I wish to make. Um, the Russians have copied the design of Iranian drones and they're producing them themselves. They've gotten licenses from Iran to produce their own drones because there's going to be a cutoff. Iran is going to be isolated. Okay, Iran is doing a rather creditable job. It's unfortunate, but they're knocking out radar stations. They're attacking ports. They're inducing, like Qatar now does not want their airspace to be used by the U.S. Air Force. There's a lot of consequences going on. There's an attack on every naval port, and I got word from a military source that the naval ports in the Gulf are not disabled; they're just damaged, and it's not tremendous damage. It's notable damage here and there. It's spotty damage. The USS Abraham Lincoln, that's an aircraft carrier. And to me, it's like a bathtub sitting duck. Okay. Okay. What kind of adverse publicity would come if it got hit by 3 missiles and sank with 2,000 men on board floating in the ocean south of Saudi Arabia? What a mess. So they had 12 months without leave. They were jamming mops into the toilets
Yeah.
and into the the sewer system on board the ship.
Yep.
And you can guess where all that goes. Probably not into a tank. It probably goes out the back end, out the poop chute.
Mm.
The soldiers, the naval seamen were angry. Okay, where is it now? It's nowhere near the Hormuz Strait. It's south. It's a few hundred miles south. It's out of the way. The most important point that I can make regarding the war and the ability to continue and sustain the war is that the potato head Biden, who was dead, okay, Biden was dead with 4 years of a dead president. People need to wake the hell up.
Oh, yeah.
It's the first president that we've ever had who was dead all 4 years. His inauguration was a funeral event.
Mm-hmm.
We have exhausted much of our, not all, much of our arsenal in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
We've donated it to NATO. They've blown it up. They've wasted it. It's a war of attrition. Well, what is the victim of attrition? The U.S. military arsenal. Okay, Trump invited 4 or 5 different military contractors into the White House and said, you need to increase 4 to 5-fold your output of missiles, artillery shells, and all kinds of other different weaponry. Why? Because we're running out.
Mm-hmm.
We're running out of the THAAD batteries. I believe they're anti-missile batteries. We make only like 7 a year. They cost $1 billion, and several of them have been damaged severely to the point where they don't work. Okay, we are now without radar, and we are largely without anti-missile defense. The Iron Dome over the little control nation in the southeast corner of the Mediterranean, whose name I really don't like ever to say, their Iron Dome is not functioning, and they've taken, I got this confirmed, they've taken 50 hits to important targets. They're not military targets, not all. There's some civilian targets like power plants and, big apartment buildings where elites live and things, just things like that. A corporate center that is involved in design and weaponry, whatever, bank, whatever. They've not hit the Knesset, the parliament. They've not hit that. Don't ever forget, Donald said we're saving that country for last. What does that mean?
Personally, I think they ought to make it first. because they're the ones that are instigating a lot of shit, and Britain too. And a lot of people will say Britain is one of the main instigators, but they're hand in hand.
They're not just hand in hand, they're hand in glove. I like that term. Um, there's a lot of talk about how Trump has managed to take control and for shipping insurance. It's very expensive. It's gone up, I don't know, like three, fourfold, maybe
Yeah.
more.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a U.S. depository something insurance that has taken over what Lloyd's did. And I wonder, is that a U.S. government affiliation? I don't know. We
Well,
need to
it's
check.
actually, he came out and said that he's going to help provide, almost stabilize the insurance for the shipping routes and use the military to ensure that they don't get bombed. So there you
Well,
go.
that okay, that just sounds so dandy. So you're going to have like two destroyers escort an oil tanker? I mean, huh? Is that safety or is that tripling the targets? Okay, these are missiles we're talking about. Um, oh, I tell you, I just don't have a good feeling for the next 2 weeks. These guys remind me of the Civil War architects from 160 years ago. They said, well, this Civil War will be quick. It'll be over in 3 weeks, maybe 2 months. Yeah, right. Okay, war is ugly, war is messy, war is deadly, and it is in service to Satan.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to close the door on war because you end up getting retaliatory measures that weren't anticipated, and you get like dominoes that happen. You get damage that is not recoverable. You get resentment, and never leave out that the Islam religion has a key part, at least in the Shia part, the Shia sect, vengeance. Vengeance is a big part of their religion. So, you know, I think they're going to bring the war to American soil. Um, and in Dallas, not Dallas, what was it? In Austin, was it?
Yeah.
A fellow with an Iran labeled shirt
No, no, no.
shot.
It said property of Allah. And the media is sitting here running around saying, oh, we can't figure out if he has any ties to Islam or anything like that. It says property of Allah on there, idiots. What the?
Yeah, yeah, Allah is that's Arab, which is closely overlapped with Islam, but it's not Islam. Allah is Arab for God.
Yeah, I know.
That's like saying English, they mention God, and that's got to be Christian. That doesn't work. Sorry, it doesn't work.
No.
Um, but I thought that the guy had Iranian connections, and it was pretty plain. They're going to bring this war to the United States. I don't know how. I think it's going to be like, blowing up ports.
Sleeper cells. They already said they got sleeper cells all over the place.
We've been hearing that for 15, 20
I
years.
know. And you know what the thing is? The memes that are running around is rural America, a bunch of rednecks, cowboys, and, all these people. They're like, bring it. We're itching to go to war with you bastards. So it don't matter. We are armed to the teeth. You want to start a war? You're going to be careful what you wish for.
I don't wish for a war. I wish that the Iranian people can run the mullahs out of town and reveal that they've got Swiss accounts in the billions and have been skimming off the oil and gas sales for the last 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
45 years, just like Cuba. Just like Cuba. Cuba's got probably 8 to 10 billion dollars in Swiss banks, much smaller. 8 to 10 billion. That's what they got every month from Iran. The mullahs are stealing that country blind, and the people are sick of the mullahs. They're celebrating their removal and their deaths. But there's something really important that Americans need to understand about Iran, and that is the people are not well armed. I read that it was about a month ago or 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, that there were in like a dozen different cities, not necessarily Tehran. Tehran's one city. Iran's got 75 million, 78 million people. They've got 20 cities. The Revolutionary Guard mowed down protesters, unarmed protesters.
I saw it.
I heard that they mowed down, I heard 90,000.
I heard
Okay.
100,000.
I'm not alone in a big number. This is ugly, and the people are not armed. So Trump wants the people to do an uprising, but they can't because they're not armed. The people are celebrating the damage done to the mullahs, but they can't finish the job. So the United States wants the Kurds to come in from Iraq. And let me just say that and then leave it alone, okay? This is not going to close up in tidy bows in 2 to 3 weeks. Not going to happen. That's the plan. And I talked with a military source, and he said, that's the plan, Jim. You watch. It's just air and naval. There's no ground troops, and that's easier to stop. And I thought, well, it's easy to stop, but it's not easy to stop the moves. I mean, what if they hit a group of ships in the Mediterranean?
It's called blowback.
The blowback, gosh, we've seen blowback now in the Red Sea, south of the Suez Canal. Oh my gosh, we've seen blowback from Gaza. Okay, what if they hit American naval vessels in the Mediterranean? What if they hit them outside of Gibraltar? Okay, we're all over the place. I mean, we're like the British Empire, except with the U.S. flag and a much bigger military now. Okay, this is not going to end in tidy bows. Okay, I'm studying this. I don't like to research war, but what I'm noticing is that we've depleted our arsenal. We're now on emergency measures to replenish, and Trump is being told we can replenish, but it'll take 2 to 3 years. Okay, this is not going to work out well.
Right.
Okay, when we're depleted, we're going to get retaliatory strikes. We're going to get hurt in areas where we're vulnerable. And I don't know exactly what that is. Okay. In the meantime, we've got Venezuela, and that is not working out well in Caracas. That's another story. I just want to say that briefly, that we've not cleaned up much of anything. The narcotics is still continuing in Caracas. We just got a woman in charge instead of Maduro. But Maduro provided us evidence regarding election fraud and machinery. Maduro provided us information about narcotics. And with the Maduro removal, we've cut off Cuba and their oil supply. They got about 2 months. Oh gosh, I don't know whether it's 2 weeks or 2 months. I can't remember.
They've got a very 2 weeks. They were saying
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And that is not just oil supply for cars and taxis. It's oil supply for tractors in the farms. It's oil supply for the electricity plants. Okay. In other words, Trump is trying to do a regime change. We're running low on time. We've probably got about 10 minutes, 9 minutes. We're looking for a regime change in Cuba. I'm all over it. I believe it's going to happen. The Russians have been asked to cooperate with this. The Russians were involved in Venezuela, running their oil industry. They backed out. The Russians were involved in the silver mining industry. They left and took all the inventory. A lot of the inventory from the mining companies, they took it all on airplanes. A lot of airplanes headed to Russia. A lot of people in the United States don't understand this, but Cuba in the last few years has been a big narcotics money laundering center to earn big time in income. Usually it's 10 to 15% of the flow. How many Americans know that Cuba is involved in narcotics money laundering? How many? 1%? Not even. Okay. We want regime change, and the people of, okay, I got this straight from Cuban sources in the press, our press. They want labor unions. They want free elections with multiple parties, and they want the right to vote and the right to demonstrate. and the right for free speech, more rights. Trump wants to open up the economy, bring about more capitalism, more development, which would bring down the prices and increase the supply. And I want to point something out, and I mentioned this in the newsletter for February. My brother was involved in 1998 and 1999. He spent an entire summer in the Hotel Copacabana, and he met a German guy and he met an Italian guy. They were each involved in the hotel construction business. They were involved in Veradero, and they were involved in Havana in building hotels. And here's how it works. Whether you get a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom hotel room, it costs like 140, 120, 170 a night. The following workers make $1 per day. The receptionist at the hotel, the valet parking at the hotel, the cook at the hotel, the cleaning lady at the hotel, the laundry service at the hotel, the elevator operator at the hotel, the waiters in the restaurant at the hotel, the chefs in the hotel. $1 per day, $30 per month. My brother met a few people. He met one woman. He helped her a little bit with cash because she had a baby, and she said, "I can't feed my baby." My brother gave him a $20 bill, and he was elevated to sainthood. Okay, Trump wants Cuba to be overturned, and I learned something last week. I thought Raul was still in charge, but in 2021, Raul gave up. I think it was 2005 or so? Fidel died. Raul Castro took over. And in 2021, a non-Castro, for the first time, took control of, what do they call it? The president of the Communist Party, the chairman of the Communist Party of Cuba. Wow, what a wonderful post that is. Okay, they still got communism. They call it democracy. And that's where the Democrat Party is heading in the United States. Communist.
They already are communist. I call all Democrats communist.
I know.
That's
I know.
less than 7 minutes, so we got the countdown.
Well, I want to promote my own website, Scott.
We go ahead.
It's golden-jackass.com. Next month, I will celebrate my 22 anniversary. 22. This has been a long, long road. I started it when I was 52 years old, and I'm older now, and I'm wiser. I don't exactly have less hair, but it's turned more blonde, in case you haven't noticed. My chest hair has turned blonde. I have consult calls. Since I moved to this Southeast state, I think I've done about 10 consult calls, 9 or 10. This is the second interview I've done. The first one where I show my face and have the background. I'm going to have a very interesting background display pretty soon. Okay, the newsletter is the stock and trade. I encourage people to sign up for the newsletter, support my work. I put a lot of time into it. I've done 263 monthly reports without missing a single one. And people need to understand that the bulk email is a very difficult thing to bring about anymore. The 2022 anti-spam laws have changed everything with bulk emails, and they've made it very unfriendly.
Yep.
So if you sign up for the newsletter in the last 2 days of the month, check to see that's there. Use your personalized login. Contact me and find out more about when it's going to be posted. But I do consult calls. Many people, and this is an increasingly popular trend. And I don't like it, but it's a reality. People would rather see the videos. Well, that doesn't support my work. And we've also got 3 or 4 clowns pretending to be me. And I've indirectly challenged a couple of them to say, what was the name of your first manager at Digital Equipment Corp in 1980? What was the name of your first manager in 1996 at Staples Corporation? And that shuts them up, but it doesn't stop them. They impersonate me, and it's fraud. But the sad part about some of these websites and video shows is that I can't prove I'm me either. They're not interested in my proof that I'm me, that I'm the legitimate Jim Willie, born in 1952. They're not interested. Okay, so I challenge them and undermine them, and I've had that happen to about 7 times. I give those questions and I say, challenge the son of a bitch. Okay, so there are many people who like the videos and don't want a newsletter because maybe they just don't have the ability to sit still for a long time. I have that inability also. When this is over, I'm going the heck out of this apartment and I'm going for a ride. I'm not even too concerned about where I go. I want to get out and feel the breeze in my face, check out the local area, look to see, various apartment complexes and check out a park, look at a pond, and come back 5 miles later with a little bit of sweat on my brow. Okay, so make a donation if you don't like video, if you don't like the newsletter, if you only like videos, support my work with donations. That's harder to solicit. It's not regular. It needs a reminder. And if you're a wealthy person and MJ, you ain't Michael Jordan, but you're a really kind lady in Florida. And MJ, I'm calling you out because you are a princess of a lady, because she's helped me out a few times. MJ, MJ is Michael Jordan. Everybody knows that now. But this MJ is a special lady. And I point her out because she's touched the sponsor button a few times. And that's for large donations to support my work. We're all dealing with the economic depression that Donald Trump hasn't noticed yet.
I know.
It's amazing.
Because he's surrounded by a bunch of control freaks that are totally not, they're living in a bubble. And none of them are looking out the window, and they're definitely not listening to the videos like he used to, where he would actually, side with people like on Twitter or help some, but no, he's out of the whole loop. He is totally out of the loop.
He's doing geopolitical focus. And, I think he's doing some really good things. But when it comes to the economy, when it comes to making America great again at the ground level,
yeah,
he hasn't shown up at the office yet.
Nope.
Okay, go to golden-jackass.com, and with more support, I'll be able to buy a couple pieces of furniture so that there won't be such an echo chamber in my living room.
Well, we got almost about a minute 30 left. So any closing thoughts in the last minute?
Pray to God, because this is a battle of good versus evil. This is a battle of, Judeo-Christianity versus Satanism. I like to point out that the Democrat Party is one of the most unholy unions ever seen on the planet for a political party. It is Satanists, communists, and narcos. And you dumbass liberals who don't watch shows like this,
no.
The dumbass liberals that are your neighbors, they don't understand. They're some of the dumbest people around. They hate Donald Trump. My brother is one of them. My brother has lost a great deal of intelligence. It's amazing that a guy could be so good in mathematics and so stupid in politics not to notice that Obama is gay, that the Democrats have become a communist party, that California is overrun by the Chinese Communist Party, that Canada has been overrun by the Chinese Communist Party. Where's the intelligence level of the liberal left? I find it nowhere.
Nowhere. They're communists. All right.
They don't even know it. They don't even know it. They don't.
No, they actually brag about it. Are you kidding me? They were trying to vote in a communist party. That's how stupid and gay the retards are.
That's isolated, Scott, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay. You want to do another show?
Not at this moment. I need to go outside and get wind against my hair.
Okay. Well, let's end it. Thank you for joining. Have a great afternoon.